Greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Jason Damico Show. Thank you so much for tuning in on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, YouTube, wherever your favorite streaming platform is. And we're just going to get right into it because our guest has an incredible career. This episode, his professional career as a musician began at the age of 16 as the bass player for Trixter, signing on to their first major label record deal with MCA Records in 1989. Selling over 1 million records, placing 3 #1 music videos on MTV. He's toured with bands such as Kiss, Poison, Scorpions, Warrant. And in 2009, joined up with Lita Ford for her worldwide tour for about 4 years. And in 2016, released his first solo album, Boutique Sound Frames, in which he wrote, produced, and performed all instruments himself. With 2020 seeing his sophomore release, Accept the Change. We'll get more into that. He's also toured consecutively with Mr. Big's lead singer, Eric Martin. And if that wasn't enough, he's recently joined AEW wrestling legend Chris Jericho and the hard rock band Fozzy as about ready to embark on their world tour. Please welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
My friend, Mr. PJ Farley.
Thanks for listing all that.
When I was writing that up, it was so hard I really just condensed. I didn't leave anything out because they're all magnificent.
You did though, and I don't blame you. But we forgot to mention Raw. I know we'll get to it, but even that's on.
Yeah, that's right, Raw.
Oh God, too much me.
So I mean, let's get into the beginning. I read somewhere that you started out as a drummer first in kind of your youth, and I'd love to get into your beginning stages on how that happened and then how we translated into bass and songwriting.
Yeah, I was just I'm a tapper, I just restless leg syndrome, and I've always just had just banging around pots and pans as a kid, and then my mother decided to get me a drum set, and I grew up in a small 2-bedroom apartment in an apartment complex, until I moved out on my own at 16, 17. And so my first love is drums. So I always gravitate towards them. No matter what, even to this day, the first thing I hear is I start air drumming. That's my first passion. Unfortunately, a couple years after I started playing drums, it was just more like playing boom chop, playing the songs that I could figure out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really take lessons or study. Just kind of an instinct. And then I went to go put a band together when I was in grade school. And I had all these friends that played instruments. I'm like, all right, you're going to be the guitar player. You're going to be the singer. I had like 3 friends that wanted to be the drummer. I'm like, well, who's going to play bass? I'm like, screw it. I'll do it. I'll play bass. We got enough drummers. So I just stepped up and I got a paper out and I saved up enough to buy a bass. And by the time I got the bass, the band never formed.
Wow.
So I started playing the bass anyway, and I wound up just really kind of following it, and I dug it. And my mother enjoyed it better because it was in the bedroom. So I just started playing that, and real quick I got into a band. I mean, like I was 12 years old, and I was already playing with like 19-year-old kids. And then from there, by the time I was 14, I was playing in a band with 24, 25-year-olds. And then 15, right as I was just about to turn 16, that's when I joined Trixter. So it happened really quick.
It's
so bass was a good choice.
Yeah, well, it's such a great instrument. I don't think people realize how important it is in the scope of the soundscape of music. And there's so many things you can do with it. The register of the low end, but also the high end, the tones. Who were some of your influences when you were coming up?
When I first started playing bass, Steve Harris, really, he was like, because my favorite bands at that time were Iron Maiden,
Mm-hmm.
Motley Crue, and the hard rock, typical hard rock stuff. So Steve Harris just stood out.
Oh
so
yeah.
I was like, man, listen to that P bass and those brand new strings, and that clunk and those triplets he's doing.
The gallop.
Yeah, I mean, I was all over that stuff, and you know, early on I got into Jocko.
Mhm.
Not like heavily, not like I didn't sit and study Jocko. I was like, this guy, I don't even know what he's playing, but I love it. And what I took from him was his kind of, where I tried to take from him, I should say, what um, element really stuck with me was his explosiveness and his spontaneity, where you just be playing something and then just do a quick little run, kind of like Geddy Lee.
Right.
Geddy was like that too, and his that part, that spontaneous combustion, when you're just chugging along on a line and then boom, you just rip something, even if it's just a quick 16th note on the same note, or just something explosive, not intricate or you know, millions of notes, just attitude. And the Jocko, so I couldn't play that anyway. So I'm like, but I dug his just attitude.
The
That's the only
ideas,
thing I can
maybe.
take away from him.
Yeah, yeah, the ideas. I've seen videos of him where he was doing things. It's like, oh, that's where I've heard that before even hearing it. It's like
Yeah,
you could tell he influenced so many players with what he was doing in the 70s with like the chorus pedal and all these just little things
yeah.
and a lot of mid-range in the overall spectrum of the EQ.
Hmm.
A lot of it points back to him. Uh, well, with Trixter, how did that happen? I mean, how did that come about at 16? Was it just being in
I
the
was
circle?
playing, yeah, I was playing in the clubs already by the time I was 12, 13, 14 with these older guys, and we were playing the same clubs with Trixter um, before I was in the band. And they had already had like a pretty good following
Right.
locally in these all ages clubs that we were playing around where we grew up. So we'd be on the same bill like every weekend, and it just came time. Their bass player really didn't. He grew up with them, but he really didn't fit the band, and they just kind of made the decision that they were getting chirping in their ear that, look, I think you guys got to make a change and get a
Mm.
different guy in the band. And so they called me. I fit the suit.
It's awesome. I mean, Kiss, Poison, Scorpions, Warrant. I think was it Firehouse?
Warren Firehouse. Yeah, that was the big summer
What
tour.
was that? What was that like? I mean, what was that? Late teen years you were touring with those guys at that point?
Mhm. Yeah, it was maybe, I think I turned 19 on that tour. Yeah. I just found a picture of it somewhere. Me on stage every night at the end of the show, we'd all come out and do Fight for Your Right to Party, and we'd all just grab instruments. All three bands would be on there. Well, we played on my birthday in St. Joseph, Missouri, and they killed me with beer and all sorts of shit. And I got great pictures of it.
That's great.
That was
That's
cool. I think
great.
I turned 19 that night. That tour.
And moving on to Raw, which is a little bit, the would you consider Trickster hair metal?
I mean, it definitely was in the genre that you call hair metal. Yeah. Um, we were obviously in that category. I mean, at that time, any band that came out during that time was a hair metal band. We had long hair, so we were a hair metal band. I do, I think we kind of, went the other way with as far as look. We came out wearing flannel shirts and our hair just kind of sort of unkept,
Right.
and just jeans and really basic, really suburban Jersey, typical look. We didn't really couldn't afford a stylist or leather pants, so we didn't go that route. um, so we were a rock and roll band, but whatever, we didn't care. I don't care.
Yeah. It just kind of fit at that point. I was reading somewhere that um, because of the grunge era, and this isn't the first time I heard of this, where things just kind of it's a shame. Like things just kind of changed very quickly. As much as I love grunge, there were just so many great bands in that era. The kind of the glam rock, hair metal, so many great songs, great musicianship.
Mhm.
And I just always thought it kind of died too soon, but others may disagree with me. But
I mean, in the span of genres, it was around a while, you know,
Yeah.
it had its run, you know, and look, nobody would have benefited more from it lasting longer than I would have. But I can say, yeah, I think we were at the end there.
Yeah.
Starting to get a little repetitive, and you know, what else are you gonna do? So
Well, how did Raw come about then?
rock came about because I would say, when did we kind of take Trixter out back? I think maybe 95, 96. We decided to kind of call it a day for a little bit. And Steve Brown, the guitar player for Trixter, and I kept writing and recording and started, you know, put a band together, kept changing the name and putting out records and stuff. And by 2001, I got a call from the singer for Raw, Sahaj, who got my number from a mutual friend, and he needed a bass player. So he sent me a bunch of songs off that first record, the demos before they did the record, Do You Call My Name and Rectifier, and
Yeah.
a bunch of the big songs from that record. And I loved it. And he wanted me to do a couple of showcases with him and, you know, kind of join the band. And I was like, Steve and I had a lot going on at that point. Like we were on the verge of getting another deal. So
Mm.
I had so much invested in that, but I was going to do these shows. I'm like, man, this is great stuff. I'm not, you know, silly. You know, this is great. I'd love to play this stuff with you.
Yeah.
But the shows never surfaced. And so we kind of came out of touch for a little while. It was around the holidays. So didn't hear back from him. Because I told him, like, I can't join the band right now. You know, I got to see this through with Steve right now. I got too much invested. And before you know it, 6 months later, I hear the song on the radio. I'm like, oh shit. Oh. And inside of a month from that, I got a call from him again. Hey man, I'm on the road with Stone Sour. I need you to come out like tomorrow.
Mm.
They had to get rid of their bass player. So I'm like, all right, send me my ticket. And I learned the songs in a day and a half and flew out there. I met him in person walking on stage. The first
Wow.
night. Yeah.
Wow.
And that was in 2002. That was in May of 2002, I think. And, you know, here we are. We just put a record out in March. I think it was March of this year.
That's pretty dependable. I mean, that's day and a half turner. What, 2 days? You're
Yeah.
you're the emergency guy.
That's how I did. That's how I joined Lita's band too. And look, everyone's got their thing. You know, I mean, you could throw a dart out the window and find somebody who can play bass better than me. You know, I mean, you can. That's not hard. Anyone can play bass to rock and roll music songs. You know, and it's like, hey, that's not hard. You know, you got to. What's your thing? You know, my thing has been, you know, you need me to play with you tonight? Just send me the set list, and I'll play it, and I'll sing your background vocals. And you know, I kind of, luckily, all I can remember is songs. Ask my wife. I don't remember what she asked me to be at the grocery store. I don't remember jack shit else. But if you need me to play with you tonight, I'm there. I'm your guy. And I don't. I have terrible eyesight, so I don't use an iPad. I don't use cheat sheets. I don't use charts. I don't use any of it. I just digest it and to the best I can. And you know, I like to just come stage ready. You know, and
Yeah.
I got a call from Lita. I had to learn 15, 16 songs in 24 hours for her too, and background vocals and everything. And you know, I was like, this is, you know, again, like I said, anyone can play these songs for the gigs that I'm going out and get called for and play them, you know, maybe circles around me. But you know, I want to be able to play them like better in the sense that I want to play them the way you expect them to be played and without uncertainty. You know,
Yeah.
just come ready. My thing is I want to be able to come ready.
That's amazing. That's great. Um, I mean, Lita, again, great artist, great career. Um, I also have Eddie Trunk on here as far as just a little side shoot around the same time frame. You grew up with Eddie, I think, right, in Jersey?
Yeah, he's a Jersey guy. He's a Jersey guy, and you know, so we've known Eddie for, you know, 30 years. He's a
How
good.
about Zach Wild? Did you ever stumble across paths with him? Because I think he was Jersey too for a little bit.
He was actually. You know what? We used to play the same clubs too, and I never met Zach up until a year and a half ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I know his bass player JD,
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing in Cleveland, and they were playing in Cleveland, literally right across the street. So I went over to their gig afterwards, and they were already done. And again, I'd never met Zach. So JD's like, yeah, come on, let's go on the bus. You know, Zach's up there, I'll introduce you and everything. All right, cool. So we're going to the bus, and he goes open the door, just being polite, open the door. Here, go ahead, go up, right? And I traveled for many years on a bus. I know etiquette. The last thing, if you're sitting on a tour bus, the last thing you want to see is some guy that you don't know walking up on your bus. You go, just your feathers go out. Like, what? You know? If it's a girl, that's one thing. You give her the benefit of the doubt. You know, hey, all right. Yeah, but a guy, no swinging dicks coming on the bus. You know?
Right.
So I started stumbling upstairs thinking, playing that over my head? I know my rule.
Right.
Like, let me just do it, right? I walk up the 3 steps of the bus, and Zach's sitting right there, and I just crack a joke. I'm like, hey, somebody call a cab? And his security guard's sitting there. He gets up, he's like, can I help you? And I was just like, whoa. And JD comes up, he goes, wait, hold on. This is PJ. It's a friend of mine. Hold on. Whoa, stop. Stop the clock. And I'm like, God damn it. I knew better.
You knew it.
I almost just got killed. Walking on Black Label Society's bus first, cracking a joke. I knew better than that. I said, it's my fault. I should have never done that. So that's how I met Zach for the first time a year and a half ago.
That's great. How was the meeting?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we grew up in Jersey, so we literally sat there for 2 hours
just
talking
talked.
about all of our mutual friends.
Yeah.
Close mutual friend, Trunk, Mark Weiss. I mean, JD's. I mean, so many people. The list goes on.
That's cool. That's fun. That sounds like a BLS incident, you know.
Yeah.
Eric Martin. I mean, I want to get into your solo music, of course, but he's kind of the last name on the list as far as names that you've worked with and are still working with.
Leave it at that. There's a couple more, but I don't.
Yeah. I'm sure there are
days here.
Yeah. So you were doing a little bit with him during the pandemic, and obviously before that, kind of like an acoustic thing during the pandemic, but have worked with him beyond. Tremendous talent, obviously. Anything that stands out with that time frame that you'd like to touch on? Awesome guy.
You know, we've known Eric for, again, 30 years. I mean, we were introduced from mutual friends because my singer had mentioned that in an interview in a magazine, he used to warm up to Eric Martin. So Eric heard that, and he was like, oh man, I got to come down and meet these guys. So he came to a show and hung out, and we met him, we became friends, and we went to go see them play. And then my singer and him became friends and would hang out all the time. And then, you know, we would just get together as, you know, whenever we could at that time. Then we lost touch for a bunch of years. And then we did a show probably 6 years ago and kind of reconnected. And then he had to go to Japan to do a solo tour and needed a band. So he called me and Steve Brown, and we got a drummer to play with us. And it just kind of felt great. I mean, we always got along great. And once we started playing music together, like, oh, this is perfect. You know, Mr. Big was kind of going on hiatus. Trixter was going on hiatus, and we played the best of both worlds.
Right.
So we're like, let's just keep doing it. And then, so we did that for a couple of years. And in between the full band shows, him and I have been doing for the last probably 3 or so years, the acoustic shows, where he would normally do it solo, but he doesn't really like just kind of being up there by himself anymore. I think, you know, I think he just likes the camaraderie, and you know, he's never played with a bass player doing acoustic shows, so you get a little low end and background vocals, and then the comedy. Me and him just, it's quite a show. We call it's dinner and a show for sure. It's like Laurel and Hardy. Really perfected the bum. And
the MTV Unplugged thing, you can't go wrong with it. You know, if you got a great song, great vocals, and great vibes, sometimes it's even more entertaining than the full kit and caboodle.
It is, man. It is. It's so, we love doing those shows. It's so intimate. And again, we were lucky because we were able to play throughout the pandemic because the shows are the same. People sitting down, you know, it's not like we were playing to festival crowds. You know,
the hell's the difference? It's basically the tables are 6 feet apart. It's the only difference.
So we could keep doing that. And, you know, there's really no rules. It's not, you know, we don't take it too serious. We don't have to worry about the flow. And, you know, if something goes wrong, it's like, oh man, we're killing the momentum here. You know, it's okay to be funny. It's okay to make. Well, it's not okay to make mistakes, but we do. We laugh at him, and you know, it's just really freeing, and especially for him because he's got the gift of gab. You know, Mr. Big Mouth. But it works in our favor in shows like this. It's really something to see.
Well, let's get into your solo work, which I really I heard Chokehold back in 2020 when it first came out, and some of your other singles. But today, I really had a chance to kind of digest your discography, solo discography, and I mean, I was a fan before. Now I'm a super fan. I mean, just really love the songs and the production choices. So emotional, melodic. These are just kind of the words that I had. I'd love to hear kind of your writing process on, you know, Sucker Punch, what you do, kind of those type, just really so many different styles combined into one. And I just have an appreciation for it. I really do.
Thank you. Oh, bless you. I don't know. Say, for instance, Sucker Punch was a song that I had that little chord progression. I wanted something moody. I wanted to write something moody.
Yeah.
And with a big catchy ass chorus out of nowhere. So really just I just started droning away on these open strings. And I didn't want to move much. None of my songs are hard to play. They're all the same thing. It's just built up dynamics.
Right,
you know?
right.
I don't like to get too busy. You know, I think you start fishing around, it seems forced to me. You know, I'm trying to break that mold a little bit and try to branch out a little bit and get away from my routine. But so that song in particular just kind of put me in a trance. And then I made this one little change going to the pre-chorus. I'm like, oh, that's good. And it really just kind of it was one of those songs that wrote itself. You know, I didn't spend much time on that at all. The chorus came out really easy. You know, that was a song. And it's funny because it's one of the longest songs I've ever written. And generally speaking, you'd think that the longer songs you take the most time on. But I just went full on, let me follow the flow of this song. I'm not thinking edit. I'm not thinking time. I'm like, I wanted mood. I got mood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of downtime in it. And I was okay with it. It all has its purpose. Every part without a vocal, you know, has its purpose. So I just let it be. It's kind of like the centerpiece of the record. And I don't normally write songs like that, but I'm like, fuck it. It is what it is. It wrote itself, so I ain't fucking with it.
It's great. It was the first one I heard today, and I was like, man, I'm into this. And I just kind of kept rolling with it. What about the recording process? So you on Boutique, you played everything on there, kind of produced everything. Walk me through that process. You know, do you start with drums usually, or maybe a scratch? Just kind of what's your flow?
Yeah, well, basically what I do is I'll put down a click and I'll put down a scratch guitar track. Then I'll go do the drums and then start building the guitars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put down a scratch bass and do a vocal, and then it's weird. I like to do the bass track last.
That's like Paul McCartney.
Really?
I've heard that before. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was weird, and I kind of every time I go to, you know, if I'm in a studio and I say, can I do it last? And they're like, I'm fucking doing the rhythm tracks. I'm like, all right. I don't know. I don't even know how to overplay if you ask me to, but I don't like to do that. But I don't know. If I have the opportunity to do it last, I like to really digest the vocal and see where I need to stay away from and see where I need to kind of, you know, give a little. It's another way to speak up and shut up.
Wow.
So if I have the opportunity and the luxury to track last and on my own stuff, I do. So I would do a proper bass track last after I do the vocal.
Yeah, that's cool. Accent the Change last year. So still pretty recent. Chokehold, Let It Rain, great songs. Those are the ones that I've got highlighted here. What was the writing process for that like? How did those come about specifically?
It started out with first song I wrote for the record was Walking Backwards, which is the second song on the record. And the second song I wrote was Wait and Fade, which is the first song on the record.
Yeah.
And those are also the first two songs I recorded for the record. Wasn't looking to write a record. It's just, between the time Boutique Sound Frames, I wrote 20 years ago, almost more.
Wow.
And recorded a lot of it. Aside from like 2 or 3 songs. Where is it?
Nice.
If I answer this phone right now, it's his interview. I'll tap out.
That's up to you.
So I had a lot of time in between records. Aside from like 3 songs, which I recorded in 2016, I think. A lot of those songs were recorded on ADATs in like 2000. So, and then I had kids and a family, and I was Mr. Mom during the day, so I wasn't really completing songs of my own. I would write for Trixter or, whatever else I was doing at the time,
Right.
and contributing where I had to, but I wasn't completing. I was collecting, but I wasn't completing. But, once my kids started going to school, I had time to kind of pick up the guitar and just let it happen. So those 2 songs came to me. Walking Backwards came to me first, then Wait and Fade. I'm like, let me record these. Because I like to, once I write a song, I got to get it down. I'm insecure in the sense that, is this shit? So let me record it and do it bells and whistles the way I hear it and listen to it go, no, that's pretty good. Let me do it again. I wrote another one and record it and convince myself that it's good enough to keep going.
Right.
So then I just kept going, and the songs kept coming. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm doing a record. And I knew I didn't want to do it the way I did the last record. I didn't want to play everything because I didn't have to this time. The first record, I just kind of was in the studio anyway, and it wasn't like, hey, let me call up these guys, let's get studio on lockdown, and we're doing a record. Here's the schedule. It was like, I got a song, let me go. Me and Steve were writing and recording all the time anyway. I'm like, let me go, lay this track down. It was just kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I did everything myself anyway. I wasn't trying to be, Lenny Kravitz or Prince or anything. I just, necessity really. So this time I was like, I want to get people who are better than me, So there's some songs that I played everything on, but like I worked with Sahaj, the singer for Ra, on 4 of the songs, and I would lay down the scratch guitar and the bass and the vocal, and we would kind of build like a superior drummer track. And I'm like, all right, this is what I want, and here's my idea, and I would let him kind of build, and that freedom was really cool for me. It was exciting for me, to kind of think outside the box and get some different. I wanted it to be different than the first record. The songs were written the same. I think have a consistency in the tone, the overall tone, and the place that the songs come from emotionally. So I think that common thread is still there, but I wanted it to, have evolved. So I didn't want to have to do everything on every song again.
Your vocal is great, and I'd love to hear kind of how you developed your style, or was it really based on the scene with Trixter and kind of those earlier days of just because everybody knows anybody who can sing a great backup vocal is 2, 3 times more hired, and if you're easy to work with. And I was just curious to see how that came about because it's a strong lead vocal.
Oh, thank you. And it definitely didn't come from the Trixter in that kind of era because I can't sing like that. My approach.
Me neither.
My approach is totally different. It's like I don't even try. I really kind of honed into singing. Probably not until later, really. Not until I was like 20, 21, and got into the Beatles, and then just singing every Beatles songs every day. I was just before I knew it, I was like I was getting better and better. I didn't even realize it.
Mm.
And I studied with Don Lawrence in New York.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, he taught me how to do it properly. Um, and I just never stopped doing it. And I don't know, I guess because I never considered myself a singer, I never thought I had to develop a style. So I just sang with an honest tone and whatever was easiest for me and the most, uh, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Transparent, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the one that's
Mm-hmm.
really going to connect. I think if you try to put a little too much shit on it, I think it's a little, I just never wanted to sound forced, you know. So I think, and again, not being the lead singer, I didn't feel like, all right, I got to have my thing, I was like, I'm writing some songs and I'm going to sing them. So I'll just sing the songs. I didn't feel like I had to come out sounding like, you know, Axel or, you know, John Lennon or anything. I just sang.
Yeah.
So I never really developed the style.
Well, it's so important to find you. Um, and that's one thing that, like me personally, that I've worked on for years at this, and it's tough because there's so many great influences out there, but at the end of the day, what do you sound like?
Yeah, I mean,
And
influences are in everybody, and they're going to come out.
yeah,
Whether you know it or not, they're going to be in there, and people are going to go, "You sound like this. You sound like this. You sound like this." I'm like, I know. It's all in the same bag, so it's just going to come out. As long as it's being filtered in a genuine way.
right.
Of course, people are going to hear influences. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, that's how everything is shaped.
You got anything new soul wise that you're cooking up right now, or just kind of focusing more on the Fozzy material, raw material, which we're going to get into right now? We can
Yeah.
actually segue in.
No, I mean, I've once I put this record out, I was like, I mean, this record for me was definitely maybe the most important record to me that I've ever been a part of. Obviously, because it's all me, it's my songs and stuff. But you know, and go, putting a record out, making a record, a lot goes into it.
Yep.
Emotionally, physically, financially, the whole kit and caboodle. And you know, there's the return is not matching, which is fine. Ain't nobody doing it to get rich anymore. I didn't put out records. I haven't put records out in the last 10 years to get rich, and I've put out probably 10 records in the last 10 years, maybe more. I don't even know. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't sit there going, how many records we sell today? I know I'm not making any money off of record sales. Nobody buys them. I get it. It's just a labor of love. But so I'm in no rush to get back and do it again. I mean, it's still fairly new. I just put the video out for Chokehold a couple months ago. And, I've still yet to really get out and do some shows. I've done half a dozen shows supporting the record, but now we're back open. I mean, once my schedule lightens up a little bit, I think I can kind of prorate some touring on it, say, hey,
Right.
couldn't do it last year, but I'm not going back to make another record just to make it fresh in everyone else's ears. Like, you ain't even heard my last record.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I can go out and do shows and play, my first two records and, whatever else I feel like playing, I'm going to do it. But I'll get back into it. But once I put my record out, I really got super busy with
Yeah.
Rob, with Fozzy, with Eric, and live shows, and just poof. Really.
Well, we got to touch on Fozzy real quick because that, first of all, the new music video for Sane is insane. It's one of the coolest things I've seen. How did you get involved with Fozzy? A couple of mutual friends, I think, right? And then
yeah, I've known Chris for about 20 years, I think,
wow,
give or take. But we'd really become close over the last 5 years, I think. And we started this. He called me one day, right? The lockdown started, and he's like, you know, obviously he knows I love Kiss. We have that mutual, you know, love for Kiss. And he's like, "Hey, you like 80s Kiss?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm doing a, you know, like a split screen, you know, the Zoom thing that everybody was starting to just do."
Mm.
He's like, "It's me, Kent, who plays drums for Luke Bryan, Joe McGinnis, who plays in Classic 78, and we're gonna do a couple of deep cuts." I'm like, "Cool, which ones?" And he told me, "No, No, No," and Heart of Chrome. And I'm like, "Holy shit, that's awesome." Yeah, man. I was like, "That's badass." So, you know, I figured I would just have some fun. Meanwhile, me and him text every day. Me and him have like text threads. I probably have 5 or 6 different text threads with him and other people,
Right.
aside from just mine and his thread. So 9 times out of 10, when my phone goes off its text, it's his name with some thread. So we're always in communication. And so we're like, all right, we're doing these songs. It's great. And then um, we did No, No, No. We did the video for it. Then we did Heart of Chrome. We got Bruce Kulick in on it. He played the guitar solo and the lead stuff on it and did the video with us. Um, and, you know, Chris, he doesn't do anything small time.
Nah.
So No, No, No got up to number 25 on the rock charts.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was pretty impressive. Um, and then we did Love's a Deadly Weapon and filmed a killer video with that. But anyway, in the beginning stages of that Kiss Quarantine with the K band that we started, um, Fozzy had some touring to do in August of last year, and their bass player, he didn't want to go out and do anything in the pandemic. He was just like, "Nah, I'm all good,
Mm.
staying home."
Mm.
So they called me, and I'm like, "Sign me up." And you know, I was just going in, you know, kind of help him out, you know, in respect. He didn't want to tour, and things were crazy back then. We were going to do Sturgis, so it was like, you know,
Right.
going into some, you know, testy waters. But I was like, "Fuck it, man, rock and roll, let's go."
Yeah.
And then we did that, and then we were supposed to do a tour in October that I was going to do. That got pushed back. Then I wound up doing a pay-per-view thing with them, and after that, they were just like, you know, "Hey man, that was fucking awesome. You're the guy." So I was like, it turned out just, you know, helped my buds out, and just wound up being, it was really awesome. I mean, I got on the bus first day and just met the guys really. Aside from Chris, I knew Rich Ward, the guitar player, a little bit, but um, it was just a really easy fit, like a odd old shoe kind of fit, you know. And
Yeah. Yeah.
just the band, the whole organization's a great bunch of people. We have a lot of respect for each other, and a group of, you know, just, you know, just well adjusted fellas. You know, no, you know, I didn't come off the road that first time going, "Oh man, would it be great if that guy wasn't fucking drug addict or, you know, just an asshole," or, you know, this. There was none of that. It was just like, man, that was enjoyable on every sense. You know,
Right.
so I was like, they asked me to be the guy, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's
So you
do it.
guys, you've got a pretty busy schedule coming up.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. Like I'm used to, you know, juggling a couple of bands, um, but it finally crapped the bed on me this time because between Eric shows, Fozzy, and Ra finally has a, you know, a small block of dates in August, that I'm just not. They came in too late, and I was committed. I couldn't do them. I got Eric dates and Fozzy stuff, and so I unfortunately got to send in the Wolf and send in a sub for me for the couple of handful of Ra shows I'll miss. Can only juggle so much.
Right.
So hopefully I'll be able to pick up with them the beginning of the year. Because I think once Fozzy's going to take me the whole last part of the year. And I think we'll probably take a month or so off maybe before we go and do another
Mm-hmm.
run. Because I think the record's coming out maybe first quarter of the year. I don't know. I find out online when shit happens. So you know, we'll see. She'll be
That's
interesting.
cool. That's cool. I had real quick on here, best and worst gig experience. If there were one of each that just, like, you know, quick stories that really come up in mind, you know, anything that stands out.
Yeah. Whew. A lot of best gigs. I mean,
That's good. That's
you know,
good.
and the one that always stands out, I always bring it up, but if you're familiar with Red Rocks Amphitheater in Denver, Colorado,
Yeah.
you know, that place, playing that place at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night on a beautiful night in midsummer, sold out. You know, if you're gonna play Red Rocks, that's the way to play it. I mean, play it any way you can get it,
Right.
but to go on at that time, it's like U2, Sunday Bloody Sunday, kind of reincarnated. It's
Wow.
just like so surreal. What a beautiful venue, unique venue with a trail that goes underneath the rocks and you come out in Matone and you come out front of house and you're in the mountains. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I could go on for days with best gigs. Worst gigs, probably go on for days with that too. God, I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head. I mean, I've I fell through the stage, I think, on my very first Trixter show.
Oh.
Yeah, just
Wow.
1 foot right through it. Like, fucker came out of nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah. First show, yeah. That was
Yeah.
off to a winning start.
Yeah.
Worked out all right.
Apparently. Yeah. Um, Before we get into the last section here, I was just one of the themes that kept showing up in your lyrics. This is what I heard, so I'm just kind of going for it. It was kind of a spirituality sense. I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to discuss on that topic, but it just felt like there were definitely some deeper things going on those songs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a practicing anything really, When I write, I just it's kind of just me talking to myself, and sometimes me talking myself off a ledge, or me having to talk someone else off a ledge, or finding ways to cope, finding ways to progress, finding ways to you know appreciate. Uh, so really, in itself, it might sound spiritual because I'm really working shit out, and it
Yeah.
comes out good on paper
Yeah.
and in melody. So I guess that's why you're picking up on that. It's really, how you write. When you write, you write to get the shit out,
Right.
you know. So that's exactly what it is. It's not. There's no made up stories really, and uh, Susie and Bobby met down on the corner, and nothing like. I can't write like Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
I just write whatever's bubbling.
That's cool. I've got a section here. I call it the shootout, which is I just say a word that's industry related to the guest, and then you just fire a word back, and there's no right or wrong answers. It's kind of fun. Just see what happens. So drums,
Love,
bass,
love. I mean,
guitar,
capable, barely.
keyboards,
Someday,
vocals.
necessity.
Yeah.
Of all the things I have to sing. I don't know what it is. I love playing drums and tapping, like I said in the beginning, but not to stop the flow of this
No,
segment.
no, you're good.
For some reason, and especially vocals came to me later on in life, but I have this need to sing more than need to do anything, like because it's more of a physical. I mean, playing drums is too, but I mean, I don't know. All I know is that when I have a sore throat and it prevents me from singing, I'm an asshole that day. I'm pretty happy.
When did this start? Has this always been a thing, or
Ever since I could really kind of sing. I mean,
okay? Yeah.
like allergies are getting me, and I have to sing, or if I have a sore throat, like really, I'm an asshole. But other than that, I'm pretty fucking cool, even on a bad day. But so I know that tells me that it really I love singing.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. Uh, that's it. That's great. Stage.
Life.
Yep.
Zone.
Tour.
God, living.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I grew up living it, and it's in my DNA.
Jersey. Yeah, I had a feeling. Song.
Song.
Mm-hmm.
Story.
Writing.
Trying.
And the most important one, pizza.
Every day.
Pepperoni, right?
Pepperoni, sausage.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the last question. I always save it for the end. If you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell him?
Well, probably uh, that. Probably don't overthink, and you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all
Yeah.
right. I mean, me and even the guys in Trixter, we were young. We got lucky at a young age, but we were never. Um, we never took advantage of it. Always kept it lighthearted. We always knew, and we always joked that there's a trap door in Cloud Nine, and any day where it poof, we're just happy to be here now. So we never were like, this is our life for the rest of our lives. We're just going to keep going up and take on the world. Our intention was to, but we never just thought we were going to coast up and live the life for the rest of our lives. So it's not like I would go back to myself and say, oh, save your money, because I didn't piss my money away. I lived on it. I didn't make millions anyway. But you know, being that I was so young, you know, 15, 16 years old signing a record deal, if you've told me that at 49 years old now, I'd still be able to be here making music, playing music, not only with the music of the genre I grew up in, but also being able to cross genres and kind of remain a sense of relevancy and kind of still kind of percolate and really have that perception, two perceptions, of the nostalgia and the current, and really be blessed to have that, and just kind of stay the course, um, and don't overthink adversity, and and always try to enjoy it.
Don't overthink adversity. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, look, when Trixter was on top, we got dropped. Grunge came in, we were fucking done. We
Yeah.
were just done. We were like, all right, what do we do? Go work at 7-Eleven now? We didn't. Steve and I just kept writing songs, recording, making music, and we just steamrolled through. And
Wow.
just the fire never went away. And I
Wow.
think, just get a little spiritual, but I mean, I think that kind of manifested the things that came to me. You know, After all the bands that Steve and I had tried after Trixter had bubbled but never really got anywhere, I was gifted with the call from Ra, and before I know it, I was on Universal Records, touring the world again, and on a major label, and then I was able to come back, put Trixter back together. There was a reunion, and then do that, and then I had two bands going. Then I joined Lita Ford, and then I put Ra back together, and then all these calls just started coming in, and then one thing after the other, and I just never let the fire go out. I never thought I deserved any less just because I had a good streak of luck early on, and it wasn't always, glorious. I spent my time and, in the clubs and the cover bands and, the late nights and the playing to nobodies, and still do it, if I, pay the dues. And, I always say, this sucks, but this isn't it. Like, the waiter who's an actor, this isn't all I do, That's the thing, always tell yourself, it doesn't stop here. When you start believing this sucks and there is no other way, then that is it. Then it's over. But deep down, I would do the shit gigs and the soul searching gigs and things and still go, fire's not out.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that's really
That's
kind
so
of
that's
gravitational pull, you know.
that's so that resonates with me so hard.
Oh,
Uh, I really, and to anybody out there who's listening who's true artist, um, hopefully that doesn't sound conceited. You know if you are, if you're not. If it's in your blood, you know. You know.
yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to do something, if you want something bad enough, it comes to you, you know. And I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't, you know, I don't walk around going, oh, I'm an artist. This is all I can do, you know, and you know, I'm just so good, you know. I just go, no, I just want to do this so much, you know. I
Yeah.
think I'm capable. I can handle pretty much any gig that I would want to do, you know. So, you know, let them come. You know, just keep at it. Keep at it. The good, the bad, the ugly, you know, and bring it to you. Make it come to you.
I love it. That's great. PJFarley.net, social media, as far as your handles, if you want to shout them
Yeah.
out real quick. We'll have them in the description box below. But
Yeah. At PJ Farley on Instagram is probably the best one, you know. The Facebook, I have a Facebook, PJ Farley Music, that I sadly neglect all the time, but I am the main owner of that, the only owner of that page. I have my personal one, but I can't, I mean, that's got a limit. That's been expired from years. So, I mean, that's pretty much useless. Instagram, I would say, is really the best.
and the new Raw record coming
Yeah.
out soon.
The record came out in March. The first single and video for the song called Intercorrupted came out in March. And we're getting ready to release a single for a song called Enough, which has Dustin, the singer of Starset, on it.
Awesome.
So that's going to be coming out in a couple weeks. And
That's great.
yeah, check out the video for Sane. Shot on a roller coaster, my very first roller coaster ever. That single's out and really doing great. So man, I'm blessed.
That's awesome. Any
Your
last
stuff.
words? Anything at all? This was great. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on.
Oh
And
man, I'm glad to finally do it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, you guys been watching, listening to the Jason Damico show. Definitely check out PJ's new ventures coming out. Catch him on the Fozzy tour. Catch him with Eric Martin. Catch him with all the great projects he's involved with right now. And we will see you all on the next episode.
Right on, man.
Peace.